Powder your face with sunshine. Put on a great big smile. Make up your eyes with laughter. Folks will be laughing with you in a little while. Whistle a tune of gladness. Who never was in style. The future's brighter when hearts are lighter. Smile, smile, smile.
To the well-versed, historic Irvington is the early home of Butler University, Abe Martin cartoons, and Girl Scout cookies. Welcome to another edition of Hoosier History. I'm Rick Maultra. Our tale of Irvington tells of a town that did not allow for the sale or serving of liquor. It tells of a community so long ago committed to the virtues of culture, morality, and intellect, where even the owls were known to say whom. Irvington's first settler was John Wilson, who came to this area, originally known as part of Whitewater Indian Trail, in 1821. He built a tavern and inn along the National Pike, or National Road as we know it. This stagecoach route was a popular thoroughfare running east from Indianapolis. Other early arrivals of the area include Joseph Powder and Dr. Levi Ritter, who built his home at what was later the site of School 57 at the corner of Washington and Ritter. In 1870, Sylvester Johnson and Jacob Julian purchased 320 acres of land from Jacob Sadowski. The two plotted out a new town where 3 to 5 acre estates were to be used to attract a wealthy, culturally elite citizen. The town was named Irvington in honor of author Washington Irving. The naming of the new village fell to Jacob Julian in return for his agreement to follow Sylvester Johnson's wishes to prohibit whiskey or other spirits within the town limits. To this day, the original town area of Irvington has never had a tavern. Another early settler was John Ellenberger, who arrived in covered wagon with his family in 1853.
John Ellenberger came to the Irvington area in 1853 and rented the acreage from the Sandusky brothers. And after about 10 years is when he bought ground north of that Sandusky farm. And it was about that time that the founders of Irvington got interested in that acreage that he had rented and plotted the town of Irvington.
Irvington was officially recognized as an Indiana town in 1873. One of the first actions taken by the new town board was to prohibit hogs from running rampant. By 1876, the town's board's efforts to control wandering herds of cows did not settle well with the town's large farming community. Tempers flared on both sides, and a local newspaper referred to the incident as a peppy little cow war. The cow paths to herd these cattle can be seen in the curvy streets of Irvington, and the planting of shade trees along streets and sidewalks was the town's first ordinance, whose benefits are evident even now. It wasn't long after Irvington was plotted as a town that the first of many of the beautiful modern homes to grace this area were built. James Downey and the town's founders constructed homes ranging from $20,000 to $25,000. Elaborate homes such as the Benton home and the endorsed Johnson house are Irvington landmarks that can still be visited. In 1872, the Panhandle Railroad Depot was built just east of where the Pennsylvania tracks crossed Audubon. The railroad, which laid its tracks in 1852, was the scene of many spectacular train wrecks. From 1868 to 1929, more than 20 people were killed and more than 30 injured in train wrecks that occurred in Irvington. Before it moved here to Fairview, Butler University was Butler College in Irvington. The school brought with it many educated and professional people who invested their wealth in the town. It was just as the founding fathers had intended.
Hut Rawson on a rail and a brawler through it. Hut Rawson on a rail and a brawler through it. Hut Rawson on a rail and a brawler through it.
Butler College moved to Irvington in the spring of 1875. It was formerly known as Northwestern Christian University, then located on College Avenue in downtown Indianapolis. Butler's professors were the community leaders, often serving on the town board. They were ministers in campus buildings that served as Irvington's first church. Students of Butler remember the faculty being first-rate.
I went to Butler College during the year 1919 to 1920 when it was in Irvington. And I had two favorite professors. Of course, that was my freshman year. We were fortunate to have Professor Harrison teaching English, and I've never had a better teacher.
Many homes in South Irvington along the edge of the campus were used as makeshift fraternities and sororities. The old saying at Butler went that you were either Greek or else. In the fall of 1923, this sorority house was purchased by Clan Grand Dragon D.C. Stevenson. Butler College was active in sports. Much of Irvington and nearby communities would plan a whole day around the football games played at Irwin Field. The legendary Tony Hinkle came to Butler in 1921 to be an assistant baseball coach. In 1924, Hinkle coached basketball, football, and baseball. He also served as assistant athletic director the year before Butler left Irvington. During this time, he still continued to coach. The leadership at Butler included Thomas Carr Howe, for whom Howe High School is named, and Hilton U. Brown, the editor of the Indianapolis News. For 53 years, Butler provided a vitality to Irvington. In 1928, when the college moved, it was a disaster for the town.
Now the Halton is the Swedish town, the Railroad is the stream, the brawler is the boy and girl, the hut is their dream. Hut Rawson on the Railroad and the brawler through it. Hut Rawson on the Railroad and the brawler.
After 53 years located in Irvington, Butler determined that they were unhappy. They could not expand their campus. They were hemmed in between two railroads. The railroads were noisy, and they had a grant of land out in the Fairview area, northern Indianapolis, and they took it and built the new campus out there. And when Butler left Irvington, it was really a disaster for Irvington because they had been so much part of the community before.
Early businesses in Irvington included Tishomingo's Drugstore, the Irvington Print Shop owned by Edward Hecker, the Palace Drugstore, Vollrath, and Dirk's Groceries.
And Dirk's Grocery was an institution. And when I first came to Irvington, you could pick up the telephone and call the operator at Dirk's by name and give her your order. And about 2 hours later, that little putt-putt truck of Dirk's would pull up in front of the house and you'd have your groceries delivered. You didn't even have to go down to the grocery store.
Charles Vollrath started his grocery store in 1898. Located at 202 South Audubon, Vollrath delivered by horse and wagon. Although he never got paid, Mr. Vollrath extended a lot of credit to hungry people. Hilton U. Brown, arguably Irvington's most prominent citizen, was a man who, in his time as a reporter, interviewed the likes of President Ulysses S. Grant and Confederate President Jefferson Davis. During his long life of 99 years and 7 months, Mr. Brown went to Russia to cover the Bolshevik Revolution, and he presided at the family's annual Easter egg roll on the hill of his home at the corner of Washington and Emerson. Hilton U. Brown gave the eulogy at the funeral of Indiana's only U.S. president, Benjamin Harrison. Brown was a driving force behind Butler College, yet he was a humble man of modest means.
The thing that really sticks out about Hilton U. Brown, in my mind, and from my own recollection, is that when you were in his presence, you always felt like you were the most important person in the world. He had the knack of bringing out you. He had the ability to make you feel important, and that's because he was a good listener. That's because he was genuinely interested in people, no matter how great or how small.
To get from one place to another, Irvington residents took the mule car. The fare into Indianapolis was 10 cents. Later, the mule car was replaced by the ever-popular streetcar. Irvington was a fun place to grow up. Children went fishing and swimming in Pleasant Run. There was plenty of yard to play in with the family, and you could pitch a tent in those days and spend the night without the folks worrying. School skits were performed outside at Christian Park. Family reunions and picnicking were very popular there. The girls loved to go roller skating, and everyone enjoyed sledding down the hills of Dr. John Kingsbury and Hilton U. Brown. If you had an accident, Dr. Kingsbury would stitch you up on his kitchen table. A big neighborhood event that gained acclaim were the Irvington Pushmobile races.
One of the fondest memories I have of living in Irvington were the Pushmobile races. These races were held about once a week on Saturday evening or late Saturday afternoon. There would be about 12 Pushmobiles in a race, and the pushers would run like track men or relay men. They could either run one complete lap around the North Audubon Circle and then trade pushers. Usually the races would be about 20 laps. The merchants in Irvington would donate prizes for the winners of the race, and it was really quite an event.
The formation of the Union of Clubs allowed adults to get involved in a variety of activities, including literature. Irvington churches provided for much of life's devotion. Many of Irvington's churches were established before or around the turn of the century. The years gone by have seen many physical changes take place in the churches of Irvington today. The Downey Avenue Christian Church had its origin in 1875 with the establishment of First Church of Christ. 1878 saw the organization of Irvington's United Methodist Church on the town's north side. Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church along Washington Street was formed in 1909. The Irvington Church of Christ Scientist new building was opened in 1936. And in 1909, Irvington Presbyterian dedicated its first church at Johnson and Julian Avenues. The church was the focal point of Irvington's youth. The guys met the gals at Christian Endeavor meetings and went for a Coke later. That was a big evening. Over 1,000 Boy Scouts passed through the Presbyterian Church. Francis Belzer, the father of Indianapolis Scouting, had his home in Irvington. It was the Girl Scouts, though, that made the biggest impact upon a tradition that would sweep the country.
Can't you hear that bitty band? And this happy tune is your step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. I used to walk the shade with those blues.
Indy Wilson was the first Girl Scout leader. She had the brilliant idea of selling cookies to earn money, and so the mothers would bake the cookies in their very own homes. Now, Girl Scout cookies are sold nationwide, all because of her brilliant idea.
Irvington's most notorious citizen would certainly have to be D.C. Stevenson. Named Klan Grand Dragon in 1923, Stevenson was a power broker who had one eye on pretty ladies and the other on the White House.
David Curtis Stevenson came to Indiana from Oklahoma. He once described himself as a nobody from nowhere. He viewed the role of the Northern States Klan as one that acted as a third political party, introducing legislation before the Indiana General Assembly.
Stevenson doesn't fit the traditional concept of the Klan. He's not, for one thing, your typical racist. If you look over Stevenson's speeches that he delivered even while he was wearing the Grand Dragon's robes, you don't find much in the way of typical Klan hate material in there. He was delivering mostly very ordinary political speeches.
During his rise to power, Stevenson met Madge Oberholzer from down the street. On a train ride to Hammond, Indiana, he viciously raped and brutalized her. Afterwards, she tried to poison herself. In a panic, Stevenson returned her to his home where he kept her overnight in the apartment over his garage. It was the beginning of the end for Stevenson's career.
Candy, my candy.
The first schools to be opened in the Irvington area were subscription schools. By the late 1860s, public schools were implemented by state law. Mount Zion became the first of these. In the 1870s through to the 1890s, Irvington had a school just east of Irving Circle. Growing in size during this time, the school had 330 students before being destroyed by fire. It took half an hour for fire equipment to arrive from Indianapolis. This lack of fire protection was the primary reason Irvington agreed to be annexed to Indianapolis in 1903. The Newtown Firehouse was built the next year. The George Washington Julian School, later called School 57, was built in 1903. Those attending School 57 also went to Howe High School in Irvington. School kids of yesteryear remember fondly the after-school activities that prevented them from getting home in a timely fashion. There were the soda fountains at Haig's and Wiesner's. There was a Hires root beer barrel at the corner of Washington and Audubon. And who could forget the original Lindner's ice cream shop?
When I need sympathy.
The Lindner's ice cream place was very special then because it was, again, on the edge, the eastern edge of Irvington, around Arlington. And Mrs. Linder was widowed and had continued that business, and all the Linder ice cream products were made right there, and you could see them when you went in to purchase anything, and it was a very special place. They had no other, that was the lone Linder's outlet then.
After 1913, the Irving Theater was the place to go to catch a matinee with your friends on the weekend. In the days of the silent movie, it cost only 10 cents to get in.
The Irving Theater, every Friday night and usually every Sunday, we were all there, most of us, I think. I wonder how much time we spent in that theater. But it didn't cost more than 10 cents, and it took care of the entire Friday evening and of course Sunday afternoon. And we all sort of met there. It was, you really didn't have to coordinate with anybody. All the boys and girls were you were just going to be at the Irving Theater on Friday night.
We loved to go to the Irving movie theater. Of course, it was in the days of the silent movies, and the movies shown were in installments, and right at the important part, the operator would cut off and say, to be continued next week. Well, naturally, we wanted to know what happened, so we would come back next week.
Other entertainment of the day included the daily proverbs of Abe Martin. From 1904 to 1930, people the world over were anxious to open their newspaper to see what Abe Martin had to say. The cartoon's creator was Ken Hubbard of Irvington. Hubbard's drawings and comical sayings brought a humorous light to problems with a dose of common sense. Other artists from Irvington included William Forsythe, whose popular works of watercolor and oils portrayed landscapes, still life, and portraits. Clifton Wheeler was noted for his paintings of landscapes and murals, including the one he did above the marquee of the Circle Theater in 1916.
What you're missing, 'cause you're only kissing for me, for you. You live your whole life through.
My husband and I admired Mr. Forsythe's paintings so much. We went to his studio to select one, but we couldn't make up our minds, so he came to our home and brought several and allowed us to make our own choice. That showed what a kind, gracious man he was.
I'll be walking with my honey down Honeymoon Lane soon, soon, soon.
'Neath the moon.
We won't care if it's November or the middle of June.
I'll be sweeter to my
Life in early Irvington was lived at a slower pace than today, and that suited the people there just fine. Those children who attended School 57 can remember coming home for lunch and discussing the day's events with their mothers. The kids attending How High remember the school as a breath of fresh air, a school that emphasized academics and still does. Irvington was a true neighborhood in every sense. It was a safe and fun place to raise your family. It was a town where you could have your groceries delivered by wagon and your newspaper delivered by dog and pony.
My younger brother Richard and I had an Indianapolis newspaper route. We had approximately 90 customers, and we would put 45 papers in one side of the cart and 45 newspapers in a bag on the other side of the cart. And the pony went on the route so often that he learned just about where to stop in front of each house, and it was hardly necessary for me to drive him. My brother would fold the paper and put the paper in the dog's mouth. He would run it up to the door and drop it, come right back, expecting us to hand him another paper. The dog was on the run continuously until we were finished delivering the papers.
Irvington, the community that people would jokingly say had a Latin scholar in every household. The founding fathers had intended the town to be one that attracted the cultural, artistic, and literary elite, and it did. Yet the community also brought in those who liked to build snowmen, ride on their scooters, and play with their dogs. Butler College brought the town together for campus activities. When the college had its homecoming, it was a neighborhood event. Irvington was a town of teachers and of children playing hopscotch. For those who have lived here, Irvington holds a special place in their hearts. It is home. It is a place where your best friends while growing up are still your best friends, even now.
My best friends growing up in Irvington are still my best friends. We still all meet constantly. We're still, it's as if no time had passed at all.
I still have friends that I can see in Indianapolis, and there's just something about this Irvington thing that we immediately, it's just like we pick up where we left off and talk about friends and things we did in Irvington.
Irvington means home in my heart. It means welcome, hospitality, friendship, love.
Home is where you love, and home is where your feet may leave, but not your heart. And my heart will always be in Irvington.
Irvington was a slice of life that had a bit of everything. It was the home to scholars and artists, to politicians and cartoonists. But moreover, Irvington was a neighborhood where everyone was welcomed with a smile. For this edition of Hoosier History, I'm Rick Maultra.
I guess I'll have to dream the rest. These words in harmony by the 3 Cadets.
I guess I'll have to dream the rest. If you can't remember the things that we said, those nights that my shoulder held your sleepy head, if you believe that parting's best, I guess I'll have to dream the rest. I guess I'll have to dream alone of honeymoon cruises so dear to my heart, of one-room apartments where we said we'd start, of foolish things we planned to own. I guess I'll have to dream alone. I can see that your heart has gone astray. As for me, I love you the same old way. I guess I'll have to dream the rest. There'll be no friends waiting to throw shoes and rice. Those heavenly moments will never come twice. I'm thankful for the hours you've blessed. I guess I'll have to dream the rest.